What's exciting to you around creativity and ad targeting in the linear space?
Sure. Well, it's really across the board at this point because linear and digital are starting to really come together. I think what's exciting and what's actually the purpose of Ignite is to put the creative side resources and the advanced advertising data-driven side resources together in one group and kind of blend them together because we think that's where the industry is going to go. What's happening now is very interesting where we can actually do a much better job understanding the different audience segments, the tribes within any given audience. So if a client comes to us and says, these are the people I want to target, we can actually break that down into many subsegments who have and want different things. And then we can work with our clients to help them make the right messaging that help make their brand relevant to those audiences. We can then go and deliver that using data right back to the tribes that we asked about so that we can know what they want, make the content for them, get it right back to them in a wide range of channels, and then optimize from there. We can also start to learn about what behavior that drove. So did they go to a store? Did they go to a website? So beyond the brand funnel, upper funnel metrics, we can actually start measuring down in the performance area as well. So that's all kind of coming together in real time, and we have now analysts and people who make sense out of data working with our creative teams to co-pitch and co-create with brands.
Dan, I wanted to ask you about the form factor of advertising or of media that you're involved with and how that's changing. And there's a big range, it's a big palette, broad palette to paint with. Tell us about the scope of the creative media that you're using, that you're working with, and that you're developing.
Yeah, it's kind of unlimited at this point. I mean, depending on what platform or channel you're working with, it can expand, accordion, it can be interactive. Even linear television, the formats are changing quite rapidly, right? We're using full ad pods to tell brand stories that are longer. We are also using much shorter snippets of space and opportunities that we have to tell small eye-opener pieces for brands. So it's kind of a wide range on linear. On digital, it's even wider. We can add overlays, interactivity directly into the advertising. In social, we're now actually bringing commerce into the actual social post. So if we do a branded content piece with an insurance company through our Great Big Story brand and it goes out into Facebook, we're actually driving directly to insurance signups. All within the context of a communication that used to be a lot more narrow. So there's really a wide range of ad formats that are, and it's changing very, very fast. Digital and linear are sort of cross-pollinating in that way, and brand storytelling is coming into it as well.
And what about consumer attitude? And I know that we've spoken to you guys. You've been on the sort of one of the leaders in managing ad load. And what about ad load and consumer preference? How does that enter into the scenario?
Yeah, well, I mean, consumers don't really want a whole ton of ads, so it's really this balance of preserving some semblance of the economics that we all need to make the content that consumers love and cutting back on that ad load as much as possible and or changing the experience so it's better. I think that it's an adolescent stage in the industry right now. I think there's a lot further for it to go if we want to compete with the SVOD services that don't have advertising. But I'm really encouraged that there's those kind of signs that everyone's sort of talking about that and starting to make those changes.
And finally, Dan, tell us sort of the implications of the value that the merger has brought in terms of how you guys operate now with the Xandr data set and tools.
So the Xandr data set really is the way AT&T looks at their overall ad strategy is you have AT&T Communications, which is incredible, connects massive amounts of people with the things they love across the world digitally, and that creates an incredibly powerful data set, consumer data set that we then can use for advertising purposes, and Xandr helps us refine that. Xandr has best in class, really, addressable television. They're building out other platforms. As that data comes into WarnerMedia, we have tons of different opportunities to use it in many different ways. Just to step back, the set we're talking about really is viewing, set-top box data. It is web usage, app usage via broadband and mobile, and it is geolocation. So you know what was seen, what was interacted with, and what was the behavior that came out of that. The great thing about it is it's fast. Most of the time, companies are stitching together different companies that have one of those three things. We have it all in one place, so it's much faster, the matching and accuracy is much better, and it allows our advertising clients to be that much more efficient and powerful with what they're doing. So it kind of breaks down into multiple different products, but we essentially use it in everything to understand the audience we're going after, to help us understand the content we want to make in partnership with our client, if that's part of the deal, to help us deliver to exactly that audience, to help us measure those results. Attribution's a big part of this, where we now can tie back to what the behavioral impact was, and we can do that way faster and less expensively than we were able to in the past. And that's a big deal, because if you can do it quick enough, you can actually impact the campaign that's running now. You can learn and make that campaign perform better. That's something that hasn't really been a standard in the industry, especially not in linear.